Hello, and thank you for joining me. Today, we're painting one of the most powerful and recognizable birds in North America, the bald eagle. Let's begin by gently erasing our sketch lines so they won't compete with the softness of the watercolor. We'll start by applying a very diluted base layer to the eagle's body. Keep your strokes light and fluid here. At this stage, we're simply mapping out the form and establishing the first hints of color. Remember, watercolor painting is all about patience and layering. You don't need to capture every detail right away. The depth and texture will come gradually. Now, while that base layer dries, let's move on to the bill and talons. Use warm, golden yellows and soft shadows to start shaping them. Even in this early stage, the sharp curves of the beak and the strength in the talons already give the eagle so much character. Next, we'll paint the background. Start with a smooth wash for the sky, letting the color fade naturally across the paper. Then, move into the water below, using a deeper, richer blue to create contrast and anchor the composition. As those areas begin to dry, let's focus on the eagle's catch, a pink sockeye salmon. If you've ever had salmon in Alaska, you know it's on another level entirely. Fresh, rich, and incredibly flavorful. There's something about the cold northern waters that make the salmon there absolutely unforgettable. Now, since we already have a thin brush loaded with darker paint, we can begin very delicately outlining parts of the eagle's head and tail to add definition. Keep these lines soft and intentional. You don't want harsh lines everywhere, just enough to guide the eye. Then, using the very diluted brush, begin adding subtle feather lines and shadows where needed. Tiny details like this help bring life and movement into the painting without overworking it. At this point, the base layer should be dry enough for us to start building texture. As you continue adding layers, let your brushstrokes follow the directions of the feathers. This is really important because it helps create a natural sense of flow across the bird's body. Alternate between darker browns and warmer golden tones to bring texture and contrast. Gradually. Don't rush this part. Layer by layer, the eagle will begin to feel fuller, richer, and more dimensional. One of the things I find most fascinating about bald eagles is just how powerful they are. The birds can soar at incredible heights with what seems like almost no effort at all. Just a couple of strong wing flaps, and suddenly they're climbing higher and higher, catching air currents and gliding with unbelievable control and speed. There's such a quiet confidence in the way they move. And despite their elegance, they're also incredible resilient birds. Bald eagles survive harsh winters, powerful storms, rugged coastlines, and changing environments with remarkable adaptability. That combination of strength, endurance, and freedom is part of why they became the national symbol of the United States. They represent resilience, independence, courage, and power. When you see one in person, it makes complete sense. There is something unforgettable about watching a bald eagle soar overhead. The size, the focus in their eyes, the sheer presence they carry. It's hard not to stop and stare. Now back to the painting. Continue deepening the shadows between feather groups and beneath the wings to add more depth. Use less water as you move into finer details so other colors stay crisp and controlled. You can also use a thinner brush for smaller feather textures around the head and chest area. These little variation in value and direction help the painting feel more realistic and alive. As you work, take a step back every now and then. It is easy to get caught up in details, but viewing the piece from the distance helps you see overall balance of light, texture, and contrast. And remember, watercolor has its own rhythm. Sometimes the paint spreads in unexpected ways, colors soften as they dry, and edges blur slightly. And that's all part of the beauty of the medium. There's no rush here. Just enjoy the process and let the painting slowly come to life. Keep layering, refining, and adjusting until your eagle feels powerful, grounded, and full of motion, like it could launch into the sky at any moment. And then, when the feathers, the light, the water, and the intense expression all come together, that's when you know your painting is complete.